What day is it? Yo, school's almost bet. I give up. With school coming back in August, I'm gonna have a lot less time to do videos. Meaning I'm probably gonna have a content drought. But anyway, welcome to the third installment of the Redesigning Sonic Characters series. If you haven't seen the previous two, then just know that the ordering of this is an OCD haver's worst frickin' nightmare. Literally the first episode I redesigned Sonic, Shadow, Whisper, and frickin' Blaze. But anyway, let's actually get into the redesign. The first redesign I did for this video was Knuckles. And I think I did pretty well with this redesign here. For his torso, I ended up making it more of a muscular type thing to show more of the fact that he is the strong guy of Team Sonic. Essentially, I made his torso Dorito shaped. His arms are slightly more bulky, but that's not really anything to write home about. And I didn't want to stray too far from the fact that a bunch of Sonic characters like really skinny. So that's why I kind of did it in such a minuscule way instead of doing what Boom Knuckles did. For his gloves, I gave him green cuffs as a way to add some unison with his shoes. Because it is kind of weird that he doesn't have all that much green on his design. Being the guardian of the Master Emerald. I also gave him the SA2 digging upgrade because, you know, that's cool, honestly. And he still has the Lego plates on his shoes, just so that everybody's aware. Also, the yellow strap on his shoes has been shrank, and he also is a bit more dirt on his shoes. It's because, he lives on an entire floating island. He's not going to be able to get his shoes cleaned that often. Going to his head, I added some white stripes on his quills as a kind of way to represent the Echidna tribe's tribal tattoos and stuff. And I also added some black marks on his forehead, which serve a very important function, potentially, maybe, I don't really know. I also slightly redesigned his hat. And also, here's why the marks were important. Yes, I redesigned Hyper Knuckles when I didn't redesign Super Shadow or Super Silver. His eyes turn green and also the marks turn green. However, I kind of screwed that up because originally I just made them the same color. So yeah. And that was my redesign for Nux, rougher than the rest of them. So now let's move on to my redesign for Amy. For Amy's redesign, I fused her modern and classic design while adding a few extra details here and there. Now, I have this thing where I kind of oversize quills, fur, etc. When designing characters, and I don't really know exactly why I do it. I think it's just easier for me to draw that way. I add this ribbon here as her hairband, and also as a reference to one of her Sonic Forces speed battle designs. For her dress, I kind of designed it with Modern Amy and Boom Amy in mind, and also Classic Amy. Obviously, it primarily takes from Modern Amy's dress, however, the white stripe there is a reference to Boom Amy's, and also, Classic Amy because of how squiggly I made it as a reference to her skirt. Yeah, that's... you could easily just assume that it's just a random redesign, I'm gonna be honest. And it's kind of hard to see, but I also gave her a back quill spike because it kind of annoyed me that base Amy didn't actually have that, so I decided to add it. But seriously, like, out of the four main hedgehogs, Sonic, Shadow, Silver, her, and Amy, why is Amy the only one who doesn't have back spines? It just annoys me a lot. Like, seriously, just give her a back spine. Arguably weird grievances aside, I think I should talk about the boots now. The boots are essentially Modern Amy's boots, except I gave her shoelaces and made it a bit more Classic Amy shoe style. I don't really know why I thought that was a good idea, but it worked out in the end, so yeah. Also, she has her tarot cards because That's just something she has. She also has weighted bracelets to conceal her true power. And I designed her hammer a bit like this. I don't really know the full extent of my design process with the hammer, but anyway. Moving to the third redesign I did for this video, Infinite from Sonic Forces. This redesign takes from both his final design and one of his concept designs. Sort of unrelated, but I don't think I mentioned this in the first part, but part of the Whisper design was also taken from one of her concept designs. Anyway, back to the infinitely worse character, Infinite. Starting off with his mask, I ended up making it essentially just his normal mask, except I gave him gold lining above his eyes, which I did as a reference to this here concept design. I didn't really alter it beyond that, so moving on to the hair. I gave him these purple and red highlights as one, a reference to the whole Phantom Ruby thing, and two, because highlights are freaking cool. I also gave him these red highlights on his tail. I'd imagine he'd get these through his connection to the Phantom Ruby, which by the way is still on his chest. By the way, his torso and limbs have this very dark purple bandaging on them, as a reference to the same concept design. And one last thing I want to mention about this redesign is the Phantom Blade, which is literally just a reference to the fact that he is skilled with a sword. Also, I just really like swords. Other than that, I just don't really have a lot to say about this redesign. It's okay. I mean, it's more or less just Infinite with a few design changes. Wish I could say more, but I can't. So let's just move on from the weakling onto who everybody who clicked on this video is probably waiting for. That, of course, being who's in the thumbnail, Rouge T Bat. Now, this redesign is the one I think is the most interesting out of all of them, because it takes a lot from different Rouge designs throughout the series. For example, I gave her a hood to reference that one hood from freaking IDW. I also kind of wanted to show what she'd look like with her wings wrapped around her body for that look, so yeah, there it is. Didn't alter her head all that much, so I'm just gonna start off with her suit. Now, this design is kinda a fusion of her normal outfit and her Prime outfit. Prime's my favorite Rouge outfit, by the way, because I don't really like how sexualized she is. Anyway, back to the redesign. I gave her the purple jumpsuit thing outfit. I don't really know what to call it from Prime because it's cool in my opinion. And I also added a lot more of the heart motif from the original design because I figured it could be expanded upon a bit. Since she's a gun agent, I also decided to give her some gadgets like this wrist communicator, which I gave the colors of the design to match it, and also this utility belt, kind of like Batman's. So yes, she has the power of prep time. Speaking of gadgets, she also has this visor. Yeah, I can't read my own handwriting. Also, I redesigned her bat bombs a bit. I don't actually know if they're called bat bombs. I'm just calling them that for the sake of this redesign. Imagine all of these gadgets and things would be useful for her secret agent missions and also her jewel stuff. You know, the stuff where she steals gems. And turns out I don't have much else to say about the design. She is holding a Chaos Emerald, just like Shadow and Metal Sonic were beforehand in the previous videos. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about her redesign now, other than that she's not as sexualized in this redesign because one, I can't draw that, and two, I don't want to draw that. That being said, I'm done with this batch of redesigns. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be posting all of these redesigns over on my Blue Sky, link in the description. I don't have anything else to say. Goodbye, have a good day, year, week, I don't really care what time frame, just have a good one, alright?